All right, hello, people. It doesn't show there's anybody on here right now, but I guess I can talk to myself for a little while. And this wasn't a planned chat. I'm just bored. So, if you want to jump on, we can do it. I was just going to do this chat. You know, had a lot of people that asked me questions that are non-gun related, or gun related, or car related, or plane related if I know it, and or life related. So I just figured I'd jump on here and we'd do something out of the ordinary. Got the wife; she's at a friend of hers house, and they're doing a girls' night for a little while, and so I had time, and I figured I'd just do this. Hello, Scott. Hello, Lakeview Outdoors. Appreciate y'all joining. It shows we've got 7 people in here now. Like I said, this wasn't planned. I just figured, you know what? I don't ever do a chat where y'all just ask any kind of questions. They do not have to be gun related. They do not have to be anything related. It can be what's your favorite, whatever, what's your, whatever. This is just a discussion night. Just have a good time. So, hello, Milkman. Jason Fisher. Hey, Big Johnson. Hope you're having a great Saturday. Second stream. What's your thoughts on the Illinois gun ban challenges? I think any gun ban is a bad thing, and I think all of them should be challenged. Those in particular, to be honest with you, I can't keep up with every state, but I think any gun ban. I mean, the Second Amendment says it. I mean, it's our God given right. God given, not state given, not Joe Blow given. It's God given right. Period. End of sentence. So they are all tyranny. Period. Hello, Floridian. How are you? Brian DeShane. How are y'all doing? I didn't rent the fight tonight. They've got the UFC on tonight too, so I did not rent either one of them. Like I said, my wife is doing something with a friend of hers. They're having a girls' night, so I figured, well, why not fire up the computer? Also, I wanted to verify my computer worked. I uh, I left it open, left my computer open, my YouTube computer that I'm doing this stream on right now, and I set it on the floor open because I was doing some work on my other computer. And my big ass, well, he's not big as in tall. He's a huge wiener dog, monster, and he was supposed to be a miniature, but his sister is, but he's not. And he freaking sat on my computer, and I was working. I wasn't paying attention, and I looked down, and he was just sitting on my computer the whole time, and it was turned on. Um, and then it started doing weird stuff, and I was like, oh crap, he broke my computer, so I had to reboot it and do all that other stuff. So I figured I'd just do a chat, this evening, and if some people, family members, wanted to jump on and ask a bunch of questions, that's what we'd be doing. Big Johnson, to be an airline pilot or community college better than a local flight school? Jason, I'm not. I've never been a pilot. I have my A&P airframe and power plant. Um, a lot of pilots, so I worked on them. I never flew them personally. I mean, I've been up in like a one Cessna, like in small planes and things like that. And my buddy's like, "Hey, take the flight control." So I'm like, "Okay," but I don't have my ratings or any kind of stuff like that. Now, honestly, I guess if I had to land one, I could. I know a little bit about that part because I worked on it so much, but that's just not my forte. But a lot of the pilots are from the military. A lot of them were ex-military and learned how to fly there. So that's where they came over. A lot of like Southwest pilots, United, that I personally know, they were all ex-military. Out where my dad lives, the neighbor across the street from my dad, he retired from American Airlines. He was with them for like 33 years as a pilot, and he was ex-Air Force. So I don't really know what is the best avenue for that to get your pilot's license, so to say. So that's, I mean, I could ask friends later on, but I don't know the answer to that right now. So I don't want to speak out of turn. If y'all don't know me by now, I only talk about what I truly know. I don't make shit up. Hello, Matt Moore. How are you? Scott got to shoot the Beretta APX A1 today, or tactical today. Have to say I'm very impressed. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean they're good guns. I mean I've kind of played with one. I've never shot one, but I've kind of played with one, and I mean it wasn't a bad feeling pistol or anything like that. The trigger was, it's kind of wide, but I mean, there's a lot of triggers that are wide. So get a good IPTV service and you'll get all the pay-per-views without paying anything extra. Yeah, I've heard that too. I have heard that. Tonight we are drinking 40 Creek. So cheers, family. Hope y'all are having a great day with your families. I did go over and help out my parents today. I was over there for quite a while. You know, like I said, I don't talk about a whole bunch of my personal stuff. And this isn't a sad sack thing, sympathy thing. My dad has Alzheimer's and a little bit of dementia. And then we just found out recently he has a form of throat cancer. So he has to have a brain MRI and a throat MRI, a full scan to make sure it hasn't spread before they start radiation and chemo for his throat cancer. And like I said, I'm not saying this for sympathy, but I did go over there to help out, today. My dad can be a handful. He's very hard-headed, and with the Alzheimer's and stuff like that, and he knows our names. It's not that like where he is. He kind of has some weird stories that aren't true, but recently, but he still knows who everybody is and all that stuff. So it's not that bad. Just notice the shaking. He's falling quite a bit. Very unstable, with walking and stuff. So it's getting pretty difficult. And, it's just him and my mom. So y'all know that I travel a lot. So I'm just trying to, deal with that. It's just, we all get old. I only have one dad. So, but it's it's a trying time right now. Hello, Rabbi. How are you? Yeah, I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm not saying this for sympathy or anything like that. I do know, Jason, I do want to bring this up. I do know some younger pilots that I've spoken to, and a lot of them start out with cargo. I mean, I'm saying once you get your pilot's license, a lot of them start out with doing cargo, like flying cargo back and forth. And understand there's pretty good money in that. And then they work their way into becoming an actual commercial pilot. So, there are avenues for that as well. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it. Big J, my dad passed away a year ago and had severe dementia. I know something about that experience. Just love him and help him. Yeah, I that's what I'm trying to do. It's like I said, it's tough on my mom. Seeing that happen. And one thing that's very concerning, with this throat cancer, it started with him having a cough and swallowing, having problems swallowing and stuff. So, and he's lost a lot of weight. I mean, he's gone from like 181 to like 157, and it seems that he's been losing weight pretty, within like 3 or 4 months, 3 months, something like that. But he eats. I mean, gosh, like today I made him like eggs. I made him some custom eggs because y'all know that I really like to cook and stuff like that. So I made him some special scrambled eggs and cheesed them, and I put some special in it, special touches, and made him some toast with some peach preserves and stuff like that. It was homemade peach preserves. I didn't make them; the neighbor did, or their neighbor did. But I enjoyed cooking for him and stuff like that. And like I said, helped clean up around their house and pick up stuff and do stuff like that. Clean out their pool and skimmers and all that good stuff. But anyway, but yeah, it's and I've had a lot of people ask me like, kind of like a lot of personal stuff, and I really haven't got into it. But I was like, chats like these, y'all are family. I mean, hell, y'all are on these chats all the time. I recognize, and a lot of new people too. but I recognize a ton of people that have been following me for a long time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to open up a little more and kind of let y'all in. I know some people don't do that. Some people do that. I don't want to get, I'm not a sympathy person. Um, I appreciate the prayers. I definitely do. But and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit even tonight about, how I grew up and stuff like that. It was, because everybody thinks that everybody comes from perfect homes and all that other stuff. And some people play the victim card, like, oh, I'm from a broken home, so I'll never amount to anything or I'll never be anything and blah, blah, blah. And I call horseshit on that. I speak my mind. I tell you how it is. Um, my mom and dad got a divorce when I was 5. Uh, so I was 5 years old. They got a divorce. My dad remarried. My mom remarried. Uh, my mom, and to be honest with you, my biological mother was a little cray cray. She, I had multiple stepdads. Let's put it that way. Uh, Over the whole life of it, it was a total of 7. So my mom was not the perfect person. Uh, and then my dad was married 3 times. The third woman, and then while all this was going on, uh, you know, one couldn't take care of me. The other one, my dad was chasing ass. I'm just going to say it that way. And then my mom was a mental case, chasing men. So I lived with my grandparents till I was probably 10 or 11. And then I call her mom now, but my stepmother, my last stepmother, she basically told my dad, you need to get him out of, because my grandparents were awesome people. I mean, I love them to death. Lost both of them, but I didn't. They didn't have a lot. They owned their own trucking company, an 18-wheeler company. Both retired. My grandmother retired from Texas Instruments, and my grandfather retired from a trucking company, and then they bought a trucking company, and they had 4 drivers. So we used to have to go out and deliver money to the drivers and stuff like that on the weekends. But and we're getting a little deep. I just figured, you know what, y'all are family. I was going to share, and that's why I was saying, ask away. You can ask anything you want. If it's too personal, I might not say anything. But you know, um, anyway, like I said, my grandparents gave me all the love in the world. Fabulous people, unbelievable people. But I grew up kind of in the hood. Um, I was a young kid, always tan. I mean, I only wore shorts and never even wore a shirt, and I was always real tan. So a lot of the local kids would come by and ask if the little Mexican boy could come out and play. Everybody thought I was Mexican, but I wasn't. I was just really dark-headed. And it was a cultured neighborhood. We had Hispanics, we had blacks, we had Latino or Puerto Rican, we had whites, we had older people, younger people. I mean, we had everybody. It was just mixed. So I played with everybody. We all got along. Played a lot of football, stuff like that. I was even playing football when I was like 6 for I guess it was elementary school back then. Um, and then my stepmother, which I call mom and have now forever. She was like, let's get him out of there and bring him to our house. So then I went to their house and was with them past, I think, 11 to, I think I moved out or went to school at 18 or whatever. So, or hell, even 17, but I was working and doing all that kind of stuff. But, I don't hold that against either one of them. I lost my mom. She passed probably like 6 years ago. Um, she had kidney failure. She was on dialysis. She was diabetic. I mean, that was a lot. It was just a mess. So anyway, and now I'm dealing with this with my dad. So it's what happens when you get older, and we're trying to deal with it. So if you have any situations like that going on with your family, my prayer is to go out to y'all and your family. And if anybody wants to throw something out, like I said, that's cool too. It's just, we all have to go through this sometime or another. Hell, I'm not going to live forever, and my kid's going to go through this too. So, I don't really talk about my kid either. I kind of keep a lot of that private, but I do have one kid. Um, I was always busy with work, so we ended up having one kid, and we didn't have any more. But I definitely would have loved to have had more. But then we got too old to have them. So, you know, kind of a weird time. Love my kid to death, and I told myself I was not going to be, and this is where I go back to this. Everybody's like, I was a victim, of my childhood. I told myself I'm not going to be like either one of my parents as far as their relationship. Dated my wife for 5 years, been married going on 31 years. So dated for 5, met her in college, and been going. This will be our 31-year anniversary, wedding anniversary. Plus 5 years. So I've known her like, gosh, almost more than half my life. So when you find the right one, you definitely want to stick with it. She's a great woman. She puts up with all my crap. Uh, so she's my ride or die, and I hope y'all have your ride or dies as well. Um, no, Rich, that's the thing. I'm the only son. I'm the only child. So it is tough. I don't have any brothers or sisters. I do have. Oh, well, let me rephrase that. I do have a half sister. That's a whole nother subject. Uh, she went down the drug road. So bailed her out of a bunch of that kind of stuff, helped her through a bunch of that stuff. And I have 3 nephews that I never see. She even named one after me. Uh, Never see them. 2 of them have been in jail. One just got out of jail. Uh, you know, Everybody, I think this happens in every family. And it's not a good thing, but everybody has kind of a Jerry Springer side of a family, so I say. And my mother's side was definitely the Jerry Springer side. So I'm talking at my grandmother's funeral, I was dressed up in a suit, had the hair slicked back, black suit, black glasses. Um, my cousins even knew me, but didn't know me because I was dressed up, and they thought I was like some kind of a Secret Service person. They're wearing wife beaters and jeans, cowboy hats, which I rock cowboy hats too, but not really to a funeral. And I had to break up multiple fights at my grandmother's funeral. So, yeah, it's one of those kind of families that was on that other side. So I mean, it's just crazy, man. Like I said, I've always felt that, and not every family, but some families have that side of crap that they have to deal with from other families, or on family sides. So it is what it is. My stepmom actually had 7 sisters and 1 brother, so she comes from a really, really big family. Um, they grew up on a farm. They grew up poor, and then when she met my dad, she was better off and all that stuff. But she's really a great woman. She's tough, and I was always stern, with me, which was a good thing because I was kind of a hellion for a little while. But I mean, became a good man. Never did any, drug addict, alcoholic, none of that shit. So I guess I was raised right, in the long run. Matt says my old man was a sales executive for Navistar and International Harvester, selling trucks before he retired. Yeah, I'm very familiar with Navistar and International. Florian, my dad died died 3 years ago with Alzheimer's. My mom is 90. I'm spending a great deal of time with her. Life is too short. It is. It's very, very short. And I'm not trying to make this a depressing chat. Please don't take it that way. We can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. It's just everybody asks me, like, what have you done? Tell us more about yourself. And I really never have. And gosh, I think I've been on YouTube for 5 or 6 years, and I've never really gotten into this. Well, tonight I was just like, you know what? After spending time with my dad even more today, I was like, you know what? I mean, I have good family members that are dedicated to my chats, and I consider y'all family and friends. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell them more about myself. So the veil is off, so to say. Big Johnson, what's your thoughts on DeSantis' campaign? I think he's done it. I think it's done. It's time for him to drop out and save what's left of his political career. I agree. I like what he's done to Florida. I really do. Oh, and I want to do a little throwback here. STI, not staccato. I got my other staccato hat, but I want to do a little throwback here. I was feeling old, a little old school today. So, but I think he's kind of, he's done great for Florida. He's done really good things. But man, I don't know. I think he's getting chewed up. Um, it is still too early to say, but I don't know. The thing that I don't like about this whole deal is you got Trump, you got DeSantis, fighting. I mean, just beating the hell out of each other. And I just don't want people to be like, well, I'm tired of that fighting or whatever and all this blah blah blah. I'm going to go to the Democrat. We just don't need that again. We need a Republican to win this next one. A real Republican, not a Republican in a costume, not a rhino. And I'm not saying Trump is, but I'm just like, he did vote for gun control. I'm not, he did a lot of great things, but, you know, sometimes he needs to chill out. But, it is what it is. So, Abigail, Jerry Springer side, like I said, I think we've all kind of got it. If it's not immediate, it could be like a cousin family. It's somewhere there. Floridian, do you have one special childhood memory or experience? Man, I have a bunch of them, which I learned a lot from. I will say this. Um, I lived with my grandparents. They had two homes. It was really weird. They had a home, in this lot, and it was a big lot. It was like an acre lot. And then a lady in this other house that was it was on the same side of the street, but it was behind them. She passed away, and my grandmother bought that house. So we had two homes. Like I said, my grandparents weren't poor, but they weren't rich. So my grandmother bought that home, and my grandparents loved each other. They were awesome, but my grandfather was stubborn. So my grandfather lived in this house, and my grandmother lived in this house. So I would just walk back and forth and jump the fence to go to both houses. It was really strange. But on one of the houses, it was a pier and beam home, if y'all know what that is. So it's up higher, and you can climb around under the house, like if you got to fix the pipes or anything like that. And so they had these little doors that you could slide. So and my grandfather, he was a good-hearted person, but he like always fed all the cats of the neighborhood. So we had like 9 million cats, and I don't even like cats, but we had 9 million cats, and he'd feed them. He'd put a trash can lid down and sprinkle that bag. He'd start shaking that bag, and cats would just come running to that house. None of the cats lived in the house. They all lived under the house, or hell, there was places everywhere these cats were. Anyway, so he'd feed these cats every morning, all that stuff, and he's like, "Oh, they keep the mice and the snakes away and all that." Well, anyway, me and a buddy of mine, I was a little kid. I think I was probably like 6. We climbed under that house, and we were digging under the house, just digging holes for some dumb reason. Well, anyway, I was digging this big old hole, and I was putting all the dirt and everything in this bucket. One of those, like, it wasn't a 5-gallon bucket, but it was, I don't know, it wasn't really it was more like a paint can, I think. And I was putting dirt in that and stuff. And well, anyway, I hit this big mound. It was like a hole, and I dug it up, and there were like all these, like a whole crap load of worms in there. That's what I thought they were. So I was scooping them up with my hand and throwing them in this bucket and all that other stuff. And I took that bucket and climbed out of there and went to the front door, and I banged on the door, and I said, "Granddaddy, come out here. Granddaddy, come out here." I said, found a bunch of worms under the house. Well, my grandfather came out there and looked in the bucket, and when you would touch one of these worms, it would kind of, do that to your hand. Well, anyway, what I dug up, he went and checked with a flashlight, and what I dug up was a freaking copperhead, or yeah, it was copperheads. It was a copperhead nest. So I basically dug up snakes, didn't even know it. And so good thing I guess they weren't big enough to truly bite me, or I'd be dead under that house. So that was crazy. And then my grandfather used to sit out in this old metal chair. And if y'all, it's kind of got that, it looks like a clam back. If any of y'all are, seen these old timey chairs, it was like this metal chair and you could kind of bounce it and it had like this clam back on it. Well, my grandfather used to sit in this clam chair and we had a China berry tree. I don't know if y'all even know what China berries are, but they're these yellow balls that grow in these trees. And I used to climb up this tree and I'd grab those China berries, and my grandfather would sit in that chair down there and I would throw them. He had a cowboy hat on, and I would throw them and they would hit him in the hat and bounce off his hat. And I'd hide up in that or stay up in that tree. And there was a carport right there too. So sometimes I'd jump off the tree onto the carport and then go to the carport back onto the tree. I mean, I was a wild little kid. So I was up there throwing China berries. I was up there for like an hour hitting him with China berries. And he told me, he said, when you come down, you need to come over here and pick out a switch because I'm going to beat your ass with this with the switch you pick out. So anyway, I got tired of being up in the tree. So I ran down the tree. I was going to try to run in the house, and he was a big man. And he's like, get over here and pick out a switch. So I walked over there and I picked out a switch that was like this big. And I said, here's a switch you can switch me with. Well, anyway, he already had a switch, and that damn thing was like that long. And he had been sitting there with his pocket knife, like taking the little limbs off of it. And boy, he started whooping. Like I said, I only wore shorts and no shirt 99% of the time. I was outside just running around. I don't even think I had shoes on half the time. So anyway, he started whooping me in the legs and whipping me across the back with that damn switch. And I had whelps on me. And I was screaming and hollering. My grandmother was yelling at him, don't hit that baby, don't hit that baby. But anyway, it was just crazy shit that I did as a kid. But it was always fun stuff, Yeah, but yeah, they were some rednecks. Let's see here. But that's kind of some funny childhood memories. I mean, I've got a bunch of them. Big Johnson, the donors are doing this on purpose. If they don't get their way, they will burn the Republican Party down, and they are using DeSantis. Yeah, there's a lot of people who hate DeSantis. They do. I couldn't be a content creator myself because of privacy. I'm not on any social media except YouTube. If you count that, just always been that way. But I do love guns and sharing the hobby. Yeah, and I do too. I just do try to keep a lot of stuff personal. Yep, government is way too big. That's what I was talking about today. I was talking about that with my dad and mom. Man, it is insane how much you get taxed. I mean, you have $1. They tax that dollar, give it to you. Then and y'all all know this. I mean, then you spend that dollar, you're taxed. I mean, it's just that $1 bill is taxed like 8 million times. It's just crazy. I just, taxation is definitely theft, but it is what it is. Hello, Lynn Holt. How are you? Shitter's full. Yep. What are your thoughts on the Illinois and Washington assault bans being all semi-auto rifles? I think this is what AWB will be like, making the 1994 ban look free. Yeah. I mean, and here's what I've talked about before. I'll say this, Jason. Now, of course, Texas is more of a free state, but I mean, it's inevitable we could turn blue anytime. I mean, it's sneaking up purple 90% of the time. Y'all know that if you're from Texas. There's got to be a point in everybody's life where sometimes they're just like, enough's enough. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to be what I'm going to be. And, if you listen to every single thing that you hear until it's officially law, you'll drive yourself crazy. I'm a bit older in life. Some people aren't. So they take every single thing that they hear, every single thing that's thrown up, that's, blah, blah, blah. They take it for, and I'm not saying it won't get voted on and get put in place. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying putting all of that aside, sometimes you just have to go on about your life. You can't worry about what if, or blah blah blah, or you just can't. You just gotta be like, you know what, call me an outlaw. Well, looky there, twice in 1 week. Hello, Big J. Evening all. Always good to see you, Lynn. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is kind of a just ask a questions, just a chat where we're just talking about all kinds of things. Doesn't have to be gun related. Can be anything, any questions you'll have. If it's not too crazy, I'll answer it. And especially, some of the stuff that I know about, I'll answer. But if I'm not familiar with it, I'll tell you the truth. Yeah, I think everybody had those shell chairs. And what's crazy is you see those things now, and they're even retro. They're making retro versions. But if you see the old timey ones, some of them are going for a fortune. And I'm just like, man, we had like 90 of those things in our yard growing up as a kid. We had them all over the place. Hello, Norwood. How are you? Hey, have a great night, Matt. I appreciate you. Hello, CJ. How are you? Pelodrome. How are you? My uncle, that was like a dad to me, taught me it's better to give than receive. Yep. When I killed my first buck, he was happier than I was. Yeah. I mean, that's like I said. And this is another thing. People, and I've gotten it before. People are like, they're like, man, I'm so jealous of your your guns and all this other stuff. I'm like, why? I mean, why? I had to save up for them. I'm not made out of money. I work my ass off for everything I have. I'm not rich. Um, I mean, there was some where I'm like, yeah, should I spend that much? Do I have to have it? No, but I'm like, I'll just work a little harder, save some more money, and then I'll buy it if I want it. And, I mean, like I said, I'm not made out of money. I work my butt off. So, if you want something bad enough, I know, especially now, the economy is not as good as it once was, but if there's something that you really, really want, and then again, I've actually sold some guns to buy some other guns that I really wanted. And people are like, you sold guns, you should never sell guns. Bull crap. I look at it this way. If it's stuff that's just sitting there and you're like, I don't really care about that gun anymore. I don't care about that shotgun or whatever it might be. Get rid of it. Get rid of it or trade it in for something else. Get something that you're going to enjoy. Having a bunch of guns just laying around that you're looking at and you're not going to do anything with. And here I am. I'll be honest with you. I still have guns that I haven't shot in 2 years. So here I am calling the kettle black. But I'm just saying, I'm probably going to be like, you know what? I need to inventory everything and just see what I really want to keep. Now, there's some guns that have a lot of meaning to me. There's guns, like that was my first gun. I'll never get rid of my first pistol. I've even shown it before. It's an 86 Smith & Wesson model 439. It's kind of a 1911. If y'all ever seen it, or if you want to look at it, just pull up Smith & Wesson model 439. That was my very, very, very first gun. And it was made in 1986. So I'm the original owner. I'll never get rid of that gun. So, there's some stuff like that I won't ever get rid of. But man, and I've told myself this, and I even recommend this to y'all. If it's guns you could just go out and buy tomorrow, like a Glock 19 or a FN 509 or whatever it might be, and you don't really care for it, get rid of it. And then if you want to get it later on down the road, it's not like they're impossible to find. If it's a collector's item or something they discontinued that's really hard to find, like the CZ97B, some things like that, I recommend hanging on to them if you can. If it's a money situation you got to get rid of it. Paul H is asking, Prodigy versus Cajunized SP01, what you think? Okay. Y'all know that I love CZ. I do. However, I love 1911s or 2011/1911s as well. Between those two, and I love CZ. I don't really have a lot of personal experience with Prodigy, but in that situation, honestly, if it ran correctly, the CZ SP01's always going to run correctly. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I would probably take the 2011 or 1911, or excuse me, 2011. So I'd probably get the Prodigy if it had to be between those two, because the SP01 to me is nothing special. The Shadow 2, on the other hand, is a special gun. I've got two of them. I love them. SP01, being very honest with you, I sold my SP01 because I had the Shadow 2s. And here's the reason. The the SP01 has the rail. Shadow 2 has the rail. I prefer the frame on the Shadow 2 over the SP01. They both take the same mags, so I have tons of mags. But in order to take a SP01 and put all the guts and triggers and all that other stuff in it, you can spend a ton on it, and it's still not a Shadow 2. So on the Prodigy, if worse comes to worse, you could put an ignition kit in it. You could put a flat face trigger in it. You could do all kinds of other things to it, take a lot of that MIM shit out. And then, over time, you could make it just like a staccato. So there you go. It's kind of got the good frame. It's got a good slide. You can put different springs in it. There's a lot you can do to the Prodigy. And see, even if it being Cajunized on the SP01, at the end of the day, it's still an SP01. So that's just my opinion. And I'm not knocking an SP01. They're great pistols. Big Johnson, when you think this Ukraine war will end the game of musical chairs, must come to an end eventually. Yeah, it must come to an end. I think with us pumping money and just giving and giving and giving and giving, I think that's ridiculous. We don't even take care of our own. I've said that numerous times, but yet we give to everybody else and nobody foots the bill for us. I'll just say laundering. I'll just leave it at that. There's a lot going on there, or my perception of a lot going on there. I guess I should say that. It's not good. Dirt Truck's asking, does your one child enjoy firearms? What's your plan for your guns after you're gone? I only have one kid who is not fully into firearms. My one kid does enjoy firearms. Now, just so y'all know, it's a girl. She's, of course, female, not a he, him, or all that bullshit. She's legit. She really does enjoy firearms. Now, does she carry every day and do all that other stuff? No. But she does enjoy shooting. She has a gun of her own. Now she does have, she's not like the strongest racker in the world and things like that. Like she enjoys 22s, smaller, well, I should say mid-size 9mm. The gun that she loves though is my 22 compact. She shoots it like, a boss, of course. So she owns, a gun. But my plan is, when I crash and burn, and this is another reason I've said this before too, but in case y'all don't know, if you're new, I do YouTube, or I kind of set out to do YouTube. In case I ever do crash and burn, my grandkids or whoever, they can go on and be like, hey, that was my granddad. Because, I would love to go on and watch videos of my grandfather. But they didn't have YouTube back there, and my grandfather wouldn't have done YouTube. But you know what I mean? That's kind of what I did this for, because as long as YouTube will be around, even if I'm dead and gone, my videos will still be there. So I thought that would be kind of cool if they ever wanted to go back and look at them. So that's another reason I do it. But yeah, when I crash and burn, I've already got it set up to where, believe it or not, some of them will be going to friends, certain ones, and then other ones, they'll be going to her and her fiance. So Big Johnson, what's the reauthorization of the Undetectable Firearms Act that you think they will use to ban Glocks and polymer lowers? They're going to try whatever they can try. I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere because they're not truly undetectable because they have metal in them. So that's stupid. I think that's just something else they threw in there. Now, as far as the frames, being able to pull the fire control units out to where they're just a polymer. I mean, it's a freaking frame. What are you going to do with it? But yeah, I mean, it's just another loophole bullshit they've thrown in there. It's another way to control. It's all about control, CJ. They don't want anybody to know about guns or have any kind of gun education, so that way they'll be sheeple and stay scared of guns. That's where it takes people like us to try to train the youth. Anytime you have are able to take someone out, train them on a firearm, or let them enjoy shooting. I've even had people that were scared of firearms, and once I let them shoot firearms properly and show them, they became believers in firearms, and actually many of them have bought firearms. So, I think it's just that's where we can help out with that. We'd love to find an actual 1911 that was carried by a U.S. soldier in World War II. Any suggestions where to find one for sale? Estate auctions, maybe. They do come up on Gunbroker periodically. My best friend, gosh, we grew up together. Matter of fact, I can't really say, or many people probably can't say this, but he and I have been friends since we were like 8 years old. Our dads were best friends back in the day, and we're still best friends, and we still talk all the time. And he's local, so see him and his family. They actually have a family member who he did have his Colt, and now they have it. So, I mean, you could get it something like that if like someone passes and family members just want to get rid of stuff. Sometimes you can bump into deals like that. However, it was passed down to them. On Gunbroker to find out that it was an actual soldier, I don't know, unless they had some records or something. I don't really know how well that could be tracked personally. I'm not real familiar with that. I just know this particular one was. So. Yeah, Huey, you don't have work tomorrow. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kind of doing an abrupt chat. Just was like, hey, I'm bored. Let's do it. Let's see here. As a man that knows production as you do, Big J, how important is Taiwan in your opinion? Taiwan is very important. It's amazing. I mean, if you look, I mean, that's a sad thing though too to say. Everything that we own or pretty much we depend on is made in China, Taiwan, overseas of some sort. Taiwan is actually very important. As far as TVs, cell phone stuff comes from China and Taiwan. Washing machines, dryers. When people are like, I only buy U.S. Trust me, I try to only buy U.S., but 99% of the crap in your house is Taiwan and China. So, you can't really fret on that. But yeah, we definitely need China. North Korea, it's going to get nasty, and I really do think they're going to do that. I think North Korea is going to do that. So. Yeah, and you're not going to like the prices on historical firearms. Yep, Pranik's right there. Big Johnson, what's your opinion on polymer AR lowers and what some semi-auto rifles that AR magazines that would be banned compliant? Man, I don't mess with AR or with polymer AR lowers. That's just something waiting to break. If you drop them and stuff, you're going to be able. I mean, it's crazy to say this. I had a buddy of mine that had an AR polymer or a polymer lower AR. It was a cheap one. He just wanted something budget friendly, and I told him, man, buy forged, cast something metal. Even if it's freaking pot metal, because I said, some of these cheaper brands can be affected. And he was like, oh no, I think it's going to be okay. I think he paid back in the day, he paid like $300 and something for this whole complete AR. Well, he had some problems out of the box, but we fixed it. We fixed it with a trigger, putting a different trigger in it, and it did fix it. But anyway, he had this thing. He went on a hunting trip. He kept it in the truck in a zip bag, and it was hot as shit. Kept it in there, and then he told me that he tried to put a magazine in it. He couldn't get the magazine in it because the polymer lower had actually warped. It had, kind of cinched up because of the heat, because it didn't have a magazine in it. And so with the heat, it kind of cinched up, and then he had to let it cool, and it got a little easier to jam a mag in, but they're just not dependable. So I don't mess with any polymer lower AR units. So that's just my personal opinion. I'm sure they make better ones now. I can't remember what brand. I want to say this was a Omni. I want to say it's an Omni, but don't quote me on it. But I'm almost positive it was an Omni. Let's see here. Mark Delgado, how are you? Staccato C2 or Wilson Combat EDC X9 for carry? Mark, this is just my opinion. I've shot them both. They're both great guns. I prefer the Staccato C2. And the reason for me is I have XXL hands. The XD9 carry is just a little too short for me personally. Also, it does take its own separate mag or own type mag, where the C2 takes 2011 mags, to where if you wanted to get a Staccato P or a Staccato XE or an Atlas or a Prodigy or something else like that, those mags are compatible with those. Where the X9, it's not. So, and the X9 is much more expensive, and you really don't get any benefit out of it. I've shot both of them, and there's no difference in shootability. I actually prefer the C2 over the X9. Now, it could be a hand size thing, so if you shoot the two, it could vary with your opinion. But, and I love Wilson. Do not get me wrong. I love Wilson. I love, with Nighthawk. They make great guns, but I would still get the C2. Not because I own one, but I have shot both, and I did put quite a bit of rounds through the Wilson. Imagine if founding fathers were told, we won't educate our youth on guns or hunting, rather we educate them on how to. You hit the nail on the head. We won't do anything or provide you training to save your life, provide you with food, to help you defend your family's life, but we'll train you on this other bullshit. Yeah. I mean, I really don't get it. And this is another thing. Remember back in the day, and y'all know this, they had home ec, they had wood shop, they had welding, and I know some of these schools still have it, not every one though. They have welding, they have auto mechanics, they have all of these other trades where you can learn something and benefit yourself. And hell, I took auto mechanics way back when I was in high school, and we had females in there that could fix a damn car. I took welding. We had welding girls that could weld and weld actually very well. Um, I even, when I was in aviation and worked on planes, I will tell you, some women were the best IAs, which I had my IA rating also. That's your inspector's rating, where if you've got a mic parts with a micrometer, the really fine detail shit, women just blew us out of the water. I mean, they were so, meticulous when it came to that. I'm not saying that I did improper work. I'm just saying they were so anal about that type of work. We also had inspectors that would sign off on a lot of guys' work, and she would beat their ass, which I did too. If they did something wrong, she would, like, they would put safety wire on incorrectly. She'd take nips, cut them off, and then make them redo it again before she'd sign off on their work. Or a lot of women, not she, I'm saying a lot of these women would. A lot of them are, they're firecrackers. So but all of this has gone away in the schools now. So home ec, they would teach you, how to make meals for your family, how to take care of kids, how to crochet, how to knit, how to do all this other stuff. Now, it's kids playing on their damn phones. That's it. So they've taken all that stuff out of school. Hell, I remember when I was a kid, we would stand up every morning and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Every morning. Every morning. Not now. Let's see. What's your number one bucket list thing? Trip, gun, experience, whatever, but top of the list. Wow. Whew. And top of the list is, this might kind of sound weird or cliche. And of course, I mean, I would say, I want my family to be well, good health, be around forever, but, we know that's not going to happen. Um, it's not hey, I have to have this or have to have that. I mean, I'm very blessed. I have what I need. Times are tough. I mean, like I said, I'm not made out of money. Um, I don't have millions of dollars in the bank like some people might. You know, I work for everything I have, and I would like to eventually take a trip back to Italy. Um, we had such a great time. We took a trip to Florence, Tuscany, went to Switzerland, and went to Paris. Well, we were gone for about a month and a half. Um, Italy was amazing. Florence was amazing. We had such a great time. I would like to do that again. I've heard that, some of those places, are still wanting you to have the, whatever. I don't know if that's true anymore. But I heard some were still dealing with that. So if that's the case, probably won't be going back for a long time. But, I would like to take my family back over there again. Um, and I want some grandkids. Man, I want grandkids. So to have another gun or another car or whatever, I mean, you know, that's not a that's not a big dream thing I have to have. Um, I would love to have some grandkids. So I can train them or teach them to be, true thinkers and not, let them get a doctorate in or indoctored, I guess, or however you want to say it. Do you know any band compliant rifles that take AR magazines? Wow. Um, wow. Man, I'm not up on my band compliant guns. I will say a gun that is, well, I know that it's usable in a lot of states because it doesn't have the scary look. The Ruger Mini 14 is kind of underrated. It's a great shooting rifle as long as you get the version 2. The version 1 sucked. I had the version 1 and the version 2. Version 1 wouldn't even hit the broadside of a barn with their shitty barrels they had in them, but they fixed those in the version 2s. I would probably look at like a Mini 14. I mean, they're actually, they're not polymer, but, I mean, they work good. And you can get, they're not AR mags, but I think they come with like a 5 round, 10 round, but you can get some bigger ones. I had some bigger ones for mine. They're probably not as easily findable, or maybe they are now. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, CZ makes incredible pistols. I mean, and they have been around for a long time. I mean, a lot of the Czech police use them. I mean, they're great pistols. Oh man. Yes, they will. Yeah, it like I said, anytime that's going to pop up, it's going to get nasty, Jason. It's definitely going to get nasty. So the shit's not over with. Oh, the Mini 14 was banned. Damn, the barrel shroud. Well, I mean, you could go with the M1. Well, okay. Mm, damn, man. I don't know, Jason. If I looked at a list, I guess that was, because I don't deal with that. But if I looked at a list that said, yeah, you can have this, 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 and this, then I would probably be able to pick. In my opinion, and y'all know that I'm a 308 fan, I would be going for some 308 versus 223 5.56. I mean, you can run a fast bolt if you absolutely have to. The mag capacity is one thing, or if you could put a stripper clip in it. I mean, I've got a 8 millimeter Mauser that I can get pretty busy with if I need to. So I don't know if y'all have seen it, but and this is an example that they were talking about before. My wife's grandfather was a pilot in the German war. He was on our side, of course. Um, he's over in Germany fighting and all that stuff, battlefield, blah blah blah. This is the story I was given. Okay, he actually got a real German Mauser, and if you watch my video, you'll know why it's real. It's got some markings on it. Put it in his plane, brought it back. When he passed, he gave it to me, and he's my wife's grandfather. He liked me, and he knew I was a gun guy. His kids were not. His sons were not gun guys, or not as big as I was. So, or big. I mean, they hunted periodically, but they're not a true gun guy. So he actually gave it to me when he passed, and I still own it to this day, and it's a beast. So, yeah, you could do some damage with that thing. And that's what people don't understand. They're all scared. People are all scared of the AR-15. I'm still scared of the AR-15. That's a 22 on steroids. A lot of these people haven't experienced a 30-06, an 8 millimeter, a freaking 7 millimeter, a 243. They have, or 270. They have no freaking idea what these hunting rifles can do. Never underestimate a hunting rifle. It's amazing, though. Yeah, I saw that, Lynn. I did see that pump AR. I was like, that's kind of cool. And you're right, I can't remember who it was, but I saw it. I think it was at the last SHOT Show. I saw a video and I was like, hey, that's kind of cool. I wouldn't want it, but whatever. Yeah, palindrome, I agree with that. Screw bands move to a free state. I totally agree with that. However, I've got some friends that live in those states and they've got family there. They've got elderly parents there. They've got all that other stuff. So they're just, they can't just uproot their whole family and move, which I get. But it sucks. They're under tyranny and, they're trying to deal with it. And as long as their parents are there, and I guess when they pass, then they might move away. But some people can't just up and move. I've always recommended that. Hey, move out of that state. But then, my buddies have hit me with, man, I can't, got family here, got whatever. And I get it. I get it. Yeah, Pistol Pete, it's not Wednesday. I just decided to do something different. Didn't even call it the gun chat. It's Ask Away Chat. Maybe I'll do these periodically. If you like them, let me know below. If you want me to do more of these periodically, or we're not just talking about guns, we're talking about whatever y'all want to talk about. Family, cars, whatever. I don't care. If y'all want to have some of these sometimes. And I know on the other chat we talk about, barbecue and guns, and we kind of get into a little bit, but this one I kind of let even more out of the bag about me. Yep, the Shadow 2 the compact does look very interesting. I think it's going to sell. I mean, people are going to buy it. Pranic says it's fun, do more. Yeah, I will. I mean, like I said, I just, I was like, after spending some time with my dad and my mom today, it really was like, you know what? The family members in the chat don't know a bunch about me, haven't heard like, how I grew up and things like that. And, showing a kid from broken homes can come out to be a better person. I'm tired of this victim bullshit. All these people, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I come from a broken home. You can change that shit. You can become a better person. You can do what you want to do. You're, like I've always said, your past does not, it's not like written in stone, how you're going to end up from whatever you came from. So I didn't come from a good upbringing, but like I said, love my kid, love my wife. I don't do any dumb shit, run around on them. Man, I have business acquaintances that are married and run around on their wife and stuff. And I'm just like, man, that's just stupid. But, I'm not them. I don't judge. I'm not the judge and the jury. Um, I've just believed in always, trying to live a clean life. And, I mean, not perfect. I'm not perfect, but try to do the right thing, and God knows and karma knows and all that. Just try to be a good person. But yeah, do y'all want to go a little longer, or y'all ready to shut it down? We've been doing it for an hour and 31 seconds, so we can do whatever y'all want to do. I mean, and this even comes down to it. I would, this is my opinion. Uh, I would even look for a really good 7.62 by 39 gun before I looked for another 5.56 223 gun. Um, but I do prefer the AR platform over the AK platform. But if an AK works for you, I know in some states you can't have AKs, but you know, I just prefer a 30 cal round. GMA T50. I haven't seen that. Life's Great Supercar GMA T50. I have not. What was crazy though, I did get to mess around with an original GT, not a GT 5.0, not a freaking Mustang, an original GT, if you know what that is. Not the the one they made like in, what was it, in 2006, not the modern one, but the old OG GT. And I was like, holy crap. Damn thing was it was a $750,000 car. Yeah, Pistol Pete, that's what I've always said. At the end of the day, when I crash and burn and whatever, people can say, oh, he was a great person or whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't own shit. I'll say this. The government owns everything. You don't own shit. Even if you pay your house off, property taxes can take your house back. It's the stupidest shit in the world. But, I've always said the only thing you truly own in this whole world is your name. So if you screw your name up, that's all you have. Ooh, 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 ooh. Rich B, pick one and only one. Price not a factor. Best bourbon. Wow, that's a very tough question. I'll say this. I like Blanton's. Okay, however, Blanton's is way overrated. Way overrated. It should not be as much as it is, and as hard to find as it is. My go-to, my absolute go-to, and it's hard as shit to find around here because Yellowstone screwed it up. Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace is my go-to. It's not expensive, and it's not my best bourbon, but it's super dependable and way, way worth the money. So if you haven't tried Buffalo Trace, that is like my standard. And it's, of course, Blanton and Buffalo Trace are together. Man, best bourbon, golly. I've tried like really expensive Whistle Pig. They have different versions, and some of them are okay. Damn. Wow, Rich, you hit me with a tough one, man. There's really great bourbons and great whiskeys that I enjoy. Pappy Van Winkle's is so freaking overrated. It is so freaking overrated. I had it back when it wasn't worth shit. I drank that back in the day when we could just get it at every street corner. I mean, not every street corner, but then the new people found Pappy Van Winkle's and thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. I don't think it's that great. And what is it like? Okay. God, what is the name of that? I've even said it on one of my chats. Oh crap, what's the name of it? It comes in a really tricked out bottle. It's got like a diamond cut top. I've only had a shot of it. And it was amazing. Not because of the price, but it was $100 for one shot. And one of my customers, I was out with them in Vegas, and they were like, "You got to try this," and I was like, "What?" And it was like $125 for one shot, and it was pretty damn amazing. I cannot remember the name of it. I've shown it on the chat before. I even put it like on a community one time, and I was like, holy shit, here's a bottle of it, and it's like thousands and thousands of dollars. But that shit was really really awesome, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name. If I would have if I would have been prepared, I would have had the name of it. So I'll try to remember and find it unless somebody can think about it. I will, man, but it's good, but it's very, very expensive. Hello, Frank. How are you? Yeah, Frank, that's awesome, man. Hello, Big J. It's been a while since I could join a live chat. Changed my hours at work. I finally saved up enough to get a CZ Shadow 2. Oh my God, what a sweet shooting gun. That's awesome, Frank. I'm glad you could be. Glad you could join on, and I'm glad you like your Shadow 2. I'm still a big Shadow 2 fan. I love both of mine. One of them is an iron only gun, and the other one, Fire for Effect, did it. Fire for Effect went out of business. I know the owners very well, and they just shut down. They just, with the rent and all this other stuff. And they were veterans. However, the owner, I'm not going to give too much away, but he actually does pretty well in his day job. He's in the medical field. Let's put it that way. I won't say what he does, but they were a group of veterans and really, really good guys. So I hate that they had to shut down. Mark Delgado. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, everybody that I've recommended a C2 to that has got it really loves it. But try to put your hands on both. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm just kind of, especially in my older age, I'm kind of trying to be more, because if you buy a C2 and you like it, you're going to want a P. You're going to want something bigger. I think that mag being compatible, or that style of mag being compatible, not saying you can put a C2 mag in a P, because you can't, but you can take a P mag, a 20 round mag, and put it into your C2. So it has the commonality is what I'm getting at. Yeah, I mean M1 Grands are, they're heavy as hell, but they're freaking great guns. Yeah, I mean there's great whiskeys, and that's the thing. I don't spend a ton of money on whiskeys. I have like some $70 bottles and stuff like that. I just don't go out and go crazy with, super expensive whiskey. I've had some expensive bottles before in the past, and then I would try, like some $70 bottles, and I'm like, wow, this is just as good. So when you're kind of trying, different things, I would, like what's really crazy is Bullet Bourbon. It's freaking $22. That's one of my favorite bourbons because I like the bite. I don't like super mild. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. Four Roses is a great whiskey. They even have their single barrel, which is even better. Um, Noteworthy. I drink a lot of Noteworthy, and it's not super expensive. Buffalo Trace is great. I mean, I kind of go towards those brands, like $30, $40 a bottle, things like that. Some of those are really great bourbons and whiskeys. Q-Fix in 308. The Fix is a very light rifle. Great rifle, but very light. The 308 does have a little more buck for a backpack type gun. It's phenomenal, but you are going to notice a little more recoil, I would say. The 6.5 in the Fix is great, but it's a lot longer barrel. It's 24-inch barrel, I believe, 22 or 24. But then you're going to have the 6.5. The great thing about the Fix, if you buy a Fix in a 308, you can actually put a 6.5 barrel on it also. So you can buy the barrel conversion, and you could have two rifles in one. Now, here's something I would say. Q came out with the new 8.6. So you can buy the 8.6 rifle, which is basically like the big brother of the 300 Blackout, which is awesome. So you could buy the 8.6, and then you could buy a 308 barrel for it, and you can still use the same mags. So that might be an option also. But yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Q. They make really good stuff. I've got some of their suppressors, and I really, really like them. They just came out with their new 16-inch AR-15 223-556, and it's only like $1,500, $1,600, and for what you get, it's actually a pretty good deal. Best range in the Fort Worth area. If you're wanting to shoot outdoor, kind of like do some rifle, pistol, stuff like that, outdoor range, the best one is ETTS, and it's in Waxahachie, Texas. ETTS. Indoor ranges, I really like Texas Gun Experience because you have the option to do a 50-yard indoor range, so you can shoot 20. I shoot my 22 rifle in there, pistols. Um, they got the targets that'll, you can program them and they'll charge you and turn and do all these things if you want to do that. They will allow you to also draw a pistol. They'll check you, but they will allow you to draw from a holster, inside waistband, or battle belt. A lot of ranges will not do that, but they will. That's one reason I love them. And that's Texas Gun Experience. That's in Grapevine, Texas. That's my home range. I've tried a ton of ranges around here, and a lot of them are FUD shit. So it's like one shot every 2 seconds or some bullshit like that. And if y'all remember, back when I first started YouTube, you look at my old videos, I'd have Ranger Rick is what I called him, but it was multiple different, range officers that come up to, oh, you're shooting too fast. You're scaring the patrons. I'm like, what? So that's why I like Texas Gun Experience for an indoor range. I don't have those problems. Outdoor range, ETTS for sure. Oh, hey, it's Sugar Bar Philosopher. He's got a great channel too if y'all want to check it out. But hey, Big J, was just thinking of you. I'm on a short layover at DFW, board in about 30 minutes. So I'll listen until I have to go. Thanks, man. I appreciate you tuning in. This is just kind of a BS chat. They do have in some of the bays, it's periodic. They say they will tell you, hey, sometimes you'll go into a bay, it'll have steel, sometimes it won't. But you can sometimes ask for a bay that has steel, and sometimes if it's available, they'll give it to you. But that stuff gets moved around during their steel challenges and stuff. So it is what it is. I'm pretty bored with all the polymer offerings. Can't see me buying another one anytime soon. Seems like that's all the big manufacturer will make these days. That's because they're cheap. Pistol Pete, they're just inexpensive to make. I have plenty of polymer pistols, and that's what I've said before. You buy a Glock or a CZP-10C or whatever, and then the next polymer or Tupperware Wonder comes out. Is it any better than what you already have? If it's optic ready and all that other stuff, yeah, you could have different options, but is it like revolutionary? Is it going to make you shoot better? All this other stuff? No. So unless it's something you really want to own, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But again, always buy what you want to buy. I never tell people not to buy this or not to buy that. Wood Creek, yes, I have tried it. It's good. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's good. And that's the thing about bourbon. You can have, if you're a bourbon or a whiskey drinker, there's different ones that have like a vanilla, a tobacco, a spice. They even have them that are like stored in sherry barrels where you kind of get like a port wine taste if you're a wine connoisseur. There's different taste that you will pick up. There's caramel. I even thought about doing some bourbon reviews. People have asked me, man, you should review whiskeys and see what you think. So I might do that maybe on the barbecue channel. And I do have a barbecue channel. If the new people that are on here, it's called Big J's Pit Stop. You can go over and check that out. But I would probably do the whiskey reviews on that channel. And I probably will do some because I've got like Bibb and Tucker. I mean, I've got some really good whiskeys. But I can kind of give you all, but they're not. I don't do the super high end stuff anymore. Like Bibb and Tucker's like, was it $60 a bottle or something? It's not too crazy, but it's really good stuff. But some of these have a bite, and that's what I like. But some of them will have like a peppery taste. You can get a little bit of hint of pepper, and some are tobacco. So I do like trying some of these and getting those different hints or different notes, is what you could say. Ooh. Okay. If shit hit the fan time and you have to hit the road, you can only take one rifle and caliber. Which do you take? Hopefully everybody knows the answer to that, but it's going to be 308. Um, I've got some different ones. If y'all have seen the channel, it would be 308. Now here's the thing: the ammo is heavier, the ammo is bigger. You can't carry as much. I've got some pretty if you and a lot of that stuff I don't show, but I have shown it before. I've got some pretty good loadout uh, setups if I had to. It's going to be 308, and I have 300 blackout as well, and I love it, but it's probably going to be 308. And here's the reason: shit hit the fan. I'm going through car doors. I'm going through potential barriers, concrete, whatever it might be. I don't want 223. I do not. Don't want it. Car doors can stop. There's parts in the car doors where you get your cross members. They can stop 5.56, 223 so super easy. Where a 308, it'll get on through there. If you've got to disable a car, meaning you got to shoot the radiator out, you got to get in there pretty deep, pop the water pump. 308, you know. So where a 5.56 is just not going to do shit. So, it would be 308 for me. Could I do a 300 blackout? Yes. But it would be 308. And I think if people really, really, really think about it, it would, like I said, it would be so much harder to carry more and more ammo. You can carry a ton of 5.56, 223 just because it's so light. But if you need to really make shit happen or whatever, it's going to be 300 blackout or 308. So. What do you think, or what wave do you think the firearm industry will go next? Obviously, the presidential race will keep it down till. Here's what I'm already seeing. This is just my opinion, and I knew this was going to happen. I'm already seeing that the micro guns, I knew that was going to be a phase. I think like the SIGs and all this other stuff, the XLs, and I know a lot of people love them. I'm not knocking them, but I think more and more people are coming back to compact pistols. Not as easy to carry for some, for deep, deep concealment, but I see a lot more people going away from the micro style pistols back to compacts, and I knew that was going to happen. So that's what I'm seeing more of. So thanks, Floridian. I appreciate you, man. That's what I see more and more of. So I think it's going to be going more towards the compact size pistols, in my opinion. Favorite barbecue place in the DFW area? Wow, there's some good ones. Pecan Lodge is good. It's in Deep Ellum. That's a pretty good place. Lockhart Barbecue. They have it in the Arts District. It's okay sometimes. One of my favorites, and I even did a video on my barbecue channel about it, and it's a little bitty shop, but it's called Fat Cow Barbecue. A lot of people have never been there. It's not real public. I did a little review on it because it's one of my favorite places, and it's kind of the unknown, but it's called Fat Cow Barbecue. So, and it's actually in Lewisville, Texas, if you know where that is. But it's a really, really great place. So trying to think of another one. Oh, Terry Black's in Dallas is legit. Terry Black's Barbecue. That is legit. So I definitely like Terry Black's. And I've been to the one in Austin and the one in Dallas. Hey, Hard Target, how are you, man? Long time no see, brother. And back to hammer-fired metal guns. Yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying with the 2011s. Everybody's getting a 2011 now. So, man, good to see you, sir. I hope you and your family are doing well. Haven't seen you in forever. Yeah, okay, so Pranic knows. Yeah, there is a little taco shop there, and man, that place is always packed. And here's the thing, Fat Cow, that's one of my favorite things at Fat Cow. They have brisket tacos and they have sausage tacos. And man, what I do is I get one of my sides, I get the coleslaw, and I have my brisket taco at Fat Cow, and I put the coleslaw in it with some onions and the hot pickles and some of the jalapenos, or they have the jalapeno you just eat, but I'll put the hot pickles because they have regular pickles and spiced hot pickles, and I put them in there, and then put the barbecue sauce on the top. Man, you can make some amazing tacos. even at Fat Cow. Q was in San Antonio at Mission Ridge today, and the owner Kevin was in town. Very excited about the boom box coming. First part of 24. Yeah, Big Brother 300 Blackout. Yeah, that's the 8.6 that I was talking about. It's called the boom box. That is legit. Um, I would love to have one. Not saying I won't ever have one, but I probably will. Um, because yeah, on the 8.6, that boom box, you can actually change out that barrel and put a 308 barrel or a 6.5 barrel in it if you want to, and use the same mags and the same bolt. So that's the cool thing about it. And yes, they were actually at Rifle Gear in the Colony. That was their first stop on the Texas stop, but I couldn't make it out that day. 10 to 58, too bad. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the $3.08. Thank you so much, Magnum or Magnan Imus. I'm sorry if I'm screwing that up. I'm sure I am, but I appreciate that so much. Any other questions, comments, anything y'all can think of that you want to ask? But yeah, I love barbecue. And if on this chat, if y'all don't know, I did get some new meats from the Old Town Meat Market that I will be cooking up. I was going to try to cook them today. However, with my parents, I got tied up helping my dad, helping out over there today. So I didn't get to cook today. But I do have some tri-tip. So this will be my first tri-tip I've ever cooked. I always cook brisket. But everybody's like, man, you gotta try to smoke a tri-tip. So that's what I'm going to do. So I did get a tri-tip. I got a oh God, what is it called? And this will be my first time cooking. I can't I can't even think. Starts with a P. I said it before. It's got the fat cap on it as well. It's the Brazilian steaks. Can't even think. Golly. Picanha. Gosh, man, I was having a brain fart there. I did get a picanha, so I'll be cooking the picanha as well. I got some sausages, some baby back ribs, so we're going to be doing some good cooks. Sonny Bryant's. Yes, Sonny Bryant's is still in Dallas. It has been, the family has taken it over. It's not what it used to be. They used to have incredible barbecue. Their onion rings are still really good, but their barbecue is not exactly what it used to be. I'm not saying it's bad. You would go into their little bitty tiny restaurant and they have old school chairs that you sit in, with the little desk built onto them. So that's still their thing. Their original location is the best. They've opened up another location out on 35W, which is not that great. So the family, it's just not the way it was back in the day. It's not as good. Thank you, Hard Target. I appreciate you, brother. Speaking of barbecue, you ever had a McRib? Yes, I've had a McRib back in the day. I wasn't that impressed. It is what it is, but I wasn't that impressed. Yeah, Hutchins. I've had Hutchins before too. It's just not one of my favorites, but you're right. It's not what it used to be. Blackstone's actually great grill. If you're into flat tops, it's really a great grill. Just make sure that you clean it properly and you re-oil it and keep it covered so it doesn't rust out. Just like a cast iron skillet. That's the way you want to treat it. After you're finished cooking, just scrape it really good, and then while it's still hot, hit it with hot water. Scrape it again, wipe it off, and then while it's still warm, rub it down with Bako, grease, canola. I prefer olive oil, and then just like you would an iron skillet. But yeah, no, they're great. If that's what you're into. Even if you use like a Weber or something, they even make like a flat top that you can put on a Weber, just a smaller version. But yeah, Blackstones are great. Yep, and in wood. That's it. Yep. No, 40 Smith & Wesson will never make a comeback. It will never make a comeback. in my opinion, ever. Not saying it's a bad round. It'll just never make a comeback. 9 millimeter is king because of capacity. And 40 was pretty overrated. And this is something I've told this story before. I'll tell it super quick. But when I was in aviation, I used to have to do MP inspections. And what that means is magnetic particle inspection. So I would take engine turbine blades, and then we run them through an MPI machine where we can magnetize them, and you put a chemical on them, and then you check it with a black light. It'll show any kind of stress fatigues or cracks or anything like that. And back in the day, I used to have like 8 or 9 40 calibers. I had a bunch of 9 millimeters. I took a bunch of the barrels, and some of them were Glocks. I took a bunch of the barrels out of the 40s and some out of the 9 millimeter. I actually put them in the MP machine, the magnetic particle inspection machine. You know, just like your bolts, your AR bolts are MP tested. That's the same thing that I was doing, but I could actually perform these tests personally. So I'd actually magnetize them, hit them with the magnetizer. Then I would put the chemical on it with a brush, and you brush it off, and the metal will actually go into any stress cracks, and it will show under a black light. And what's crazy is I had 40 calibers that maybe had less than 5,000 rounds on it, and there were stress cracks. Now, would those cracks super expand and blow up? No, they wouldn't, but there were stress cracks, small stress cracks. And the MP machine would actually find them. The 9 millimeters had none, not one crack, not one thing, but I had multiples on the 40. So after that, even in the heyday of 40s, where everybody had to have their 40 capper, I went home, cleaned them all up, lubed them all up, and I sold every one of them. I do not own 140 now. So I will never use a 40, and they're not going to make a comeback, in my opinion. And I'm not telling you this because if you own a 40, you know they're horrible. Don't take that the wrong way. If you like 40, shoot 40. It's just I don't see a reason in it. And if you know this, I mean, there's 45 out there, which is slower. We know that. If you're doing rapid shots, you know, if you have to really hammer down on somebody, 9 is easier to control than 40. We all know that. Not saying you couldn't do it. You can. But if you just shoot a 40 all day long, your hand gets tired. It's just like, what am I doing? You know, it's not that fun. You can shoot a 9 all day long and your hand's just like, whatever, doesn't matter. So it's all about target placement anyway. We all know that. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, bacon grease, I mean, pork fat, whatever you want to use. They all work. I do prefer beef tallow. And a lot of, you know, since I barbecue and stuff, this is just something else. A lot of people don't know this, but what you can do, all your trimmings from like your briskets, you know, everything you're going to trim off, you can actually throw in a bucket, and then you can actually boil it or cook it up, even with butter. You know, and it's a bunch of rendered fat is what it is. So you'll get your renderings and boil them up, and then just put them in a jar and let them kind of congeal. And that can actually be your grease. So that works too. It just turns it into a tallow. It's just not ground. You can actually grind it in a blender if you want to and turn it into complete tallow. But a lot of people don't really like that thing, but you can do that. I've done it a few times. Makes sense on the cracks. Of course, many of the 40s were 9 millimeter upgraded to 40. Very few guns were made for 40, but I get you. Just trying to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, it's just an opinion. Like I said, if you love 40 and you rock 40, hey, that's cool. It's just, even when 40s came out, I was like, really? I mean, you know, but everybody was like, oh, you know, and you've got the FBI had to have it, and that lasted for a whole 2 weeks. I mean, I'm joking. It lasted longer than that, but, you know, then everybody's like, I got to get my 40. I got to get my 40. And I'm just like, whatever, you know. And then I watched the people that were shooting their 40s, and I'm like, you can't shoot for shit. You know, but I mean, not that I'm the perfect crack shot, not trying to say that, but 9 is much more controllable. It's much more fun. And yeah, you got a better chance at correct target placement than just blasting away with a 40. But yeah, we've been on this for about an hour and 30 minutes or close to it. So if y'all don't have anything else, we'll shut this down. But I just wanted to do something different. Maybe we'll do these once a month periodically when I've got some free time. and just kind of chilling and hanging out. And I just thought this might be fun. And I appreciate all y'all jumping on and joining the party. But just want to kind of share some more stuff about me. I just figured it was time. And if y'all ever have any questions where you're just like, hey, I want to ask him this, you can ask on the regular chat. Like I said, I don't want to get too personal about like exactly where I live or, my exact family and all that kind of stuff. But, I'm just going to let y'all know a little more here and there if you want to know, if you have interest in it. But I just thought this might be kind of fun to do. But I appreciate y'all so much. And if y'all have any questions after this, leave it. I'll be glad to answer it. But I just figured we'd have a little fun tonight. And I appreciate y'all joining. It's always good to have the family members on here. And also, like Trigger Bar and a lot of these other people have channels. Go over and check them out. Subscribe to them. Share the love. Like I said, we're all about family here. And with this new job, I try to watch everybody's videos. I've had a couple of people like, man, you used to watch my videos all the time and you're not watching them or watching as many. And it's just like, man, I'm traveling so much. I want to watch everybody's videos. I really do, but it's only so much time in a day. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night. Be safe out there. Love one another. Give everybody a hug in your family because you just never know, man. Life's short. So let's spread the love around. But y'all be safe, everyone. And remember, an unarmed nation's a very weak nation. So we all got to carry on. Take care, everyone. Y'all have a great night.